All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakha Kodash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the artists of great millstone, who I learned this truth from, and I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. And, this is somewhat going to be a follow-up, from my video earlier, about women, which, just throwing this out there that, women, they're at the main topic of, what I go into. But as of lately, the spirit has been, getting on these women, right? Because, again, you had the video from years ago where you had those women that were doing that TikTok dance, talking about Iran and all of that. But, recently you just had a couple videos where you had black women talking about how a lot of them are single. And, it's like that for a reason. The main reason is because of, their attitudes that, they've pretty much pushed away, the men of their own nation. And in particular, the so-called black man, because again, they've pushed, the majority of us, because, us, I'm throwing myself in there, us away, due to their attitude. They don't want to get in order. It's a lot that goes into it. But the main thing that I'm going to be going into is what, the Apostle Tahar and a couple other brothers' videos I've seen was about, how, again, a lot of these women are going to be single out here, So Isaiah 4:1 is at the door, so we're just going to wait and see how it plays out. So I'm just going to read a couple of scriptures. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying and straight to the point. And that woman says she attended a singles event, at her church, where she said it was 1,000 people. I'm laughing. I forget who said it. It may have been the Apostle Tahar. If not him, then it was another brother. But either way it goes, she said she attended a singles event where it's 1,000 people. One of the brothers say, she was 1,001. But the point being is that, it was mostly women there, or all women. Why? Because again, men, black men in particular, aren't going to singles events, man. Because the way things are going, a lot of these women, they dog men, and it's not okay. Which is why a lot of men choose to be single. I myself, I don't have a woman, but is honestly, it's peaceful, because a lot of these women are right, but a lot of them are single now, you know what I'm saying? But that isn't going to be the case for, the women, the elect women that are going to be saved. But the majority of you're going to suffer, and it's a foreshadowing of what's about to take place, because you can see a lot of them, have lost their jobs. If I'm not mistaken, they said about 100,000, black women, lost their jobs just last year alone, especially because of the DEI. So a lot of them have lost their jobs. A lot of them, are struggling to pay their bills, or, they're homeless, so they're struggling because what? They're strong and independent. They don't need no man, right? And this is a foreshadowing of what's going to take place here in America. We can see it, starting with our apostles and elders, man. They've been speaking about this, and now we're about to see it take place in real time, right? So I ain't going to go, on the rant. Just want to hit a couple main points, man. But, again, for, the elect women out there that don't have husbands, the Lord is going to provide you a husband in due time, a man of the Lord, not just any old nigga, but he's going to pray you, with a man of the Lord, when it's time for you to be with that man. But for the rest of you wicked women out there, and I'm speaking to all of the tribes, man, here in America, if you ain't right, you ain't getting saved, man. A lot of y'all are finna suffer. So it's the book of Isaiah, chapter 32 and verse 9. Slakia, I almost dropped my phone. It says, "Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech." And a lot of you have been careless. you know, partying and bullshitting, you know, using different men to, you know, get money from them or favors or whatever, man. You know, y'all been living good, man, living careless, taking these trips, you know, buying these expensive, you know, purses and all of this. It's a lot, man. But what all of that is about to come to an end. Verse 10, many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. So, right, man, all of these different, you know, benefits that you're getting, you know, food stamps, Section 8, WIC, you know, any type of government assistance, it's all going to come to an end, man. You know, and then you're going to have to depend on a man to help you, you know, because a lot of women have children. And again, man, a lot of you women are single, you know. And just seen the video earlier, you know, the elder Manata Zakba, you know, did a video on how, you know, a young, you know, she was a young black woman, fairly young, you know, talking about her struggles as being a single mother, you know, and what she is going through, you know. And that's going to be the reality for a lot of you women out here, man, especially you single women, especially those of you that said you didn't need a man. That saying is going to come back to bite you in the ass, man. Verse 11, tremble, ye women that are at ease. Be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. They shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, and for the fruitful vine. And right, a lot of you have been living good, man. You know, a lot of you have been living good, but all of that, you know, different benefits and things that you've been doing is going to come to an end. And I'm speaking to the wicked women, you know, all of that is going to come to an end. And some of you are starting to see it. You know, you dogged men, you bashed men, you talk shit about them. Now what? Now, a lot of you at these events wondering where all the men are. You pushed them away, the decent men anyway, you know, because you have these unrealistic expectations about what you want out of a man. But meanwhile, you don't have anything to offer, you know. You don't have anything to bring to the table besides used up box, man. But you're gonna remember all of this, man. You know, when you start catching judgment, you're all gonna remember, you know, the things that you have done wrong to men, you know. And then, like, it's we're in a time of war right now, man. So, in reality, you know, they could do a draft any day, you know. But which we know World War III isn't gonna kick off, you know, full force until, you know, the mark of the beast is made mandatory. You know, we have to continuously throw that out there, man. Because, again, World War III has started. It's official, you know, but it isn't going to go full scale until the mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip, is made mandatory and the majority of the people in the world get it, you know. But a draft can come. And once that draft happens, man, a lot of men are going to be drafted. And even certain of you women are going to be drafted to go and fight too, right? But concerning the men, a lot of men are going to be drafted and they're going to die, you know, in those wars. Because as I may mention earlier, and as, you know, I'm not saying anything new, you know. Any man that gets drafted to go and fight during World War III, he's not coming home, man, or anyone. But again, I'm speaking about the men in particular, man. If they get drafted, they're not coming home. They're going to die over there in the East, you know. So if they don't die in the heat of the battle, then they're going to be killed by the Lord, you know, literally. 2nd Esdras the 13th chapter, man. They're going to be destroyed. So this is the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 16 and verse 33. And it says, the virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. And right, you know, that video that I seen earlier, you know, that woman, you know, she was mourning because what? She said she doesn't have any help. You know, her father's or her child's father, you know, doesn't help her out, you know, and is dogging her, this, that, and the third. But again, she's an example of that. You know, she's mourning. But this verse in particular is talking about how women, the majority of women here in America of all nationalities, especially you Israelite women, you're going to mourn. Why? Because you're not going to have any men. And why not? Verse 34, it says, "In the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine." And right there, any man that gets that draft letter, and they come scoop him up, he's not coming back home, man. He's not coming home. So a lot of men are going to die during World War III. Or if they don't die during World War III, just like it says, they're going to perish of famine. They're going to starve to death. And if they don't starve to death, they're going to be put to death by the sword or whatever particular judgment, the Lord has for that particular man, But reality is going to set in. If it hasn't set in for you already, it's going to set in. I said it before and I'm going to say it again, man. A lot of you women are about to be left completely defenseless out here, man. Because a lot of you don't realize is that, your defense is a man, and that's your deterrent. That's what stops you from being in danger, having a man present with you, And they can use the example of, Dinah, in the book of Genesis, when she was taken by Shechem, she wouldn't have been, taken by him had she been under the supervision of a man or had a man been present with her, But that's going to happen to a lot of you. You're going to be taken and graped, man, brutally. And this ain't me saying this out of a sick fantasy. No, man, this is the reality. This is what's about to take place here in America, man. The world is on edge right now, because the way things are going, we could literally see the collapse of this society, this year. Lord willing, it happens this year, man. We're hoping that this is the year where, things finally go down, but either way it goes, man, we're still going to wait. We're still going to have patience, because we're not going to, just give up hope, man. No, we're too close, man. We're here. We're in some very exciting times. We're about to approach some very horrific times, but man, it's still very exciting to see, the words of the Lord come to pass, spoken of by his men. So just remember, man, you women out there that aren't right, you aren't going to be saved, But those of you, that the Lord are going to save, man, just be patient, It's the book of Isaiah chapter 4 and verse 1. It says, "And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach." And right, backing up that second address, 16. Because again, a lot of women are going to be left defenseless. Now, obviously, the men of the Lord, they aren't going to be drafted to go and fight during World War III, but as it says in the scriptures, some of us may be cast into prison, some of us may be beheaded. But either way it goes, the Lord is still going to be with us, Lord willing. I myself am of the elect. But again, man, there's more women than men, in the nation of Israel, man. So obviously, the number 7 just represents completion. Any number of women can cleave to, that one man. Again, it could literally be 7, 10, 50, 100, however many, the Lord has for that particular man during that time, before the kingdom. But a lot of you women out there are going to seek help and refuge from a man, and you're going to have to share. So if you aren't in that polygamy mind state now, you better you better get in that mind state soon, because you're going to have to share, man. That's how it is. That's how it's always been, Man, oh man, we in some exciting times. That's all I can say, man. That is all I can say. So I'll actually end it with this. The book of 2 John chapter 1 and verse 1, and it says, "The elder unto the elect lady and her children, whom I love in the truth, and not I only, but also all they that have known the truth." So right, the elect lady, those, Israelite women that are slated to be saved, those that have husbands, they're going to be all right, men of the Lord in particular, but even if they do have husbands, the Lord is still going to pair them with a man of the Lord. But those that don't, again, the Lord has a husband for you. We all going to have to go through our particular trials and tribulations, during the time of Jacob's trouble, which we're in, but it's not full blown just yet. But again, man, you elect women will be fine. The majority are going to die. It's just that simple. So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. I like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from. And I like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. Till next time I say, Shalom.